Welcome back to bmaster79. In this video we take on ielts speaking part 2 and part 3, topic 21. Describe a time when you forgot or missed an appointment. We will brainstorm it out loud and then deliver a full band 9 model performance. Here is the plan. First, how part 2 and part 3 actually work. Then the cue card itself, a 60-second planning method, and a brainstorm for every bullet point. After that, the full 2-minute answer. Then all 3 part 3 questions with model responses and a language bank you can steal from. Part 2 is the long turn. The examiner hands you a card. You get 1 minute to prepare with paper and pencil, and then you speak for 1 to 2 minutes. The examiner will not interrupt you. If you stop at 40 seconds, you have simply thrown away the marks you did not earn. Part 3 is the discussion. The questions move away from your own life and turn abstract. This is where the top bands are decided, because you now have to justify opinions, speculate, and concede a point without falling apart. Here is the card. 3 bullet points plus a 4th instruction beginning with the word explain. That 4th line is not decoration. It is where the highest marks lie, and it is the line most candidates rush. One note on the wording, flag rather than quietly corrected. The card says forgot/missed. Those are 2 different stories. Forgot demands a reason inside your own head. Missed can be traffic or illness, or a mix-up. Choose one and commit. We will answer the forgot version because it is harder. You have 60 seconds. Do not write sentences. Write 4 headings: setting, story, reason, reflect. Those 4 headings map straight onto the 4 lines of the card, and they give you a shape you can feel while you are speaking. Bullets 1 and 2. What the appointment was for, and who you made it with. The trick is to choose something low stakes but socially awkward to miss. Idental follow-up is perfect. Nobody dies, and yet skipping it is genuinely rude. Then give the other person a face and let them do you a favor. Bullet 3. Why you forgot it. This is where weak answers collapse into one flat excuse. I was busy. Build a chain instead. The appointment was written on paper. The phone was dead, so it never reached the calendar, and it landed in deadline week. 3 links, 1 believable failure. Bullet 4. How you felt. Never say bad. Name the emotion precisely, give 2 reasons for it, add the social cost, and then say what changed afterwards. That last move turns an anecdote into a story with a point. This is what the whole minute actually looks like on paper. 4 lines. No full sentences, no linking words, just triggers. If you write sentences, you will read them out, and reading out loud sounds nothing like speaking. Before the model answer, the usual warning. The candidate is invented. Her name is Mai, and the story is not real. Copy the structure and copy the language. Do not copy the anecdote. Examiners hear borrowed stories every single day. Here is the full answer, broken into its 4 moves so you can see the shape before you hear it whole.
I'd like to talk about a dental appointment I completely blanked on about a year ago. It's still a bit of a sore point, actually. It was a follow-up checkup after I'd had a filling replaced, and the dentist wanted to see me 6 weeks later to make sure everything had settled properly. So it wasn't an emergency by any means, but it was the kind of appointment you're not really supposed to skip. I'd made it with Dr. Lana to a small clinic near my flat. I'd been going to her for years, and she squeezed me into a slot at the end of the day as a favor, because she knew I had classes until late afternoon. As for why, I forgot. It came down to a fairly silly chain of events. I'd booked it at the reception desk, and the receptionist wrote it on a little card, which I promptly stuffed into my wallet and never looked at again. Normally, I'd have put it straight into my phone, but my phone had died that morning, and by the time I'd charged it, the whole thing had slipped my mind. On top of that, it fell in the middle of my dissertation deadline week, so my brain was operating at half capacity. I only realized the next morning when I found the card while digging for my bus pass. I felt absolutely mortified, partly because she'd gone out of her way to fit me in, and partly because no-show means somebody else could have had the slots. I rang up straight away and apologized profusely, and she was very gracious about it. Since then, I've been almost obsessive about putting things in my calendar the moment they're arranged, so in a strange way, it was a useful lesson.
Here is the complete answer on one screen. Pause the video and read it slowly. Notice how rarely a sentence begins the same way as the one before it. So why does this reach band 9? Across the 4 criteria, here is what the examiner is actually rewarding. Now part 3. 3 questions from the card. For each one you will see the brainstorm first and then the model answer, so the thinking is visible before the polish arrives. Question 1. How do busy people remember what they need to do? Notice the plan has 3 distinct ideas, not one idea repeated. Systems rather than memory, handwriting as a memory aid, and habit anchoring, which is the idea that earns you credit because most candidates never reach it.
I think most people rely on some kind of external system rather than memory itself. The obvious one is the phone, calendar alerts, reminder apps, that sort of things. But a surprising number of very busy people still swear by a physical notebook because writing something by hand seems to lodge it in your memory more firmly. And then there's the trick of anchoring a task to an existing habit. You leave the letter by your keys, so you can't get out of the door without seeing it.
Question 2. Should people remember family history? This is an opinion question, so take a side, then refuse to preach. Give one emotional reason, one practical reason, and then concede a genuine limit. Conceding is a band 9 move, not a weakness.
I'd say yes, though I wouldn't want to be prescriptive about it. Knowing where your family came from gives you a sense of continuity. It locates you in something bigger than your own lifetime, and that can be genuinely comforting. There's also a practical dimension. Medical history, for instance, can be enormously useful to a doctor. That said, some families have painful histories, and I don't think anyone has an obligation to keep dwelling on that if it does them no good.
Question 3. What do you think of people using calendars? Take a clear side immediately, then earn it. Say why it works, admit the one real drawback, and land on a settled position rather than trailing off.
I'm entirely in favour of it, as my own dental disaster proves. Offloading your commitments onto a calendar frees up mental space for things that actually need thinking about, rather than prodding your head with dates. The one caveat is that you can become over-reliant on it. If the battery dies or the app crashes, some people are completely lost. So this sensible approach is probably a digital calendar with a paper backup for the things that really matter.
Language Bank Part 1. Every phrase here came out of the Part 2 answer. Learn the whole phrase, not the single word, because collocation is what separates Band 7 from Band 9. The Language Bank Part 2 from the Part 3 discussion. These are the phrases that let you take a position and then soften it without sounding uncertain. A word on the Band 9 label. This is an internal quality assessment against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a certified examiner score. Judge the technique and apply it to your own material. Your challenge: take the same card and build your own 4-line plan in 60 seconds. Setting, story, reason, reflect. Record yourself and check that you reached the 2-minute mark without stopping. Put your version in the comments and subscribe to Bmaster79 for the next topic.